Thanks for staying with us. So many of us know that Lagos State, we just concluded the local government elections over the weekend. And to review the entire process, we have three guests in the studio with us. We have Mr. EZENWA, who is a member board of the YIAGA Africa and also the executive director, Peering Advocacy and Advancement Center. We also have Mr. DOHERTY, who is the Lagos PDP chairman. And we have Mr. Seye Oladejo, the Lagos APC chairman. Spokesperson, I believe. Are you there?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Okay, good to have you. So let me be sure who I have here. I have the spokesman APC Lagos, Mr. Seye Oladejo. Are you there?
Yes, I'm very much around.
Great.
Thank you.
And I have Mr. DOHERTY, Lagos PDP chairman. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Oh, great. So let's start with the two of you, since Mr. EZENWA is still not connected. Let me start with the PDP chairman. I read in the papers today where the Lagos State APC was saying, oh, they flawed the elections in Lagos and Ogun State. In your view, did we have a free and fair election from your own perspective? Or did you even
yeah, I'm happy that you are laughing over there because definitely you know that the PDP stand as of last night, right from the national down to the state, is that we have rejected the outcome of that election. We've rejected the results in its entirety. We do not have anything to do with those results. Those results are biased results. That's not the will of the people. Having said that, you know, I like the fact that the question is there, but the answer is for everybody to see. The answer is straight. There was total voter apathy, both in all the local governments. Even the APC members did not come out to vote for the APC. You understand? Yes, it's a council election. We know that everything is going to go the way of the state. You understand? Because they are the ones that own LASEC. We were in LASEC from Wednesday or Tuesday last week, asking them when we're going to move sensitive materials. They did not give us any answer. They said it wasn't our business. They moved the sensitive materials at night. They moved it to the council offices where their candidates are the ones in the council office anyway. You understand? So we went there trying to talk to them again to let us in. The hoodlums came out, all their thugs, all their tough boys. Everybody came out to send us away. You know, at the end of the day, we have situations in this election whereby, look at this. You understand? Look at this. These are what they did to our boys when we were there. You understand? You know, and I told them, look,
Mr. DOHERTY, let me pause you for a second, because I have quite a lot to ask you today. But let me hear from the APC man. Mr. Seye Oladejo, same question. What's your own review on the elections last weekend? Let me come to Mr. Seye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, the election has come and gone, and I must say that's very true to character. The PDP chairman, if I could call him chairman, because a few days to the election, there was a court ruling flooring his office as the chairman. So I'm surprised you are not having two chairmen on this program this morning. Be that as it may, the election for us wasn't perfect, very far from being perfect, like other elections too in other parts of the world where we've had democracy forever. What he will call voters' apathy is what I will call reasonable turnout of voters. He said APC members didn't come out to vote. He faulted everything about the process, apart from the fact that he's heading a divided house, which cannot stand in any way anyway. And you agree with me, over time, this has been the refrain of PDP looking for excuses for losing the election. This time around, they became more creative. They even said ahead of time that there's still no chance of winning the elections. How could PDP have won the elections? In a state where they are bringing nothing on board, in a state where they cannot provide credible opposition, in a state where their ineptitude is so obvious. You just wonder what the perennial crisis in their party is all about anyway, to fight over age-long failures since the advent of democracy. He said we own LASEC. Well, that's laughable. LASEC is an independent body empowered to conduct elections. And that's the way it is throughout all the states of the Federation. So you just wonder that it could force every process in the election, but there is unity in this party, which would definitely guarantee their failure from time to time.
Let me get a few more questions in for you.
So, you know, this is why people run away from politics. The conversation isn't around APC or PDP. The conversation is around elections that took place over the weekend, local government elections. This is, for me, the most important elections for the citizens of Lagos and Ogun State, where there was a high level of voter apathy. And I don't think it is a convention of, oh, PDP did not do, APC did not do. It's a case of we should be worried. APC and PDP should be worried that you have people that are being voted to be local government chairmen with less than 10% of the population they are going to be governing coming out to vote. That is a worrisome situation. It's a threat to our democracy. And that's the question I want us to address. How worried are you, both about the case of voter apathy at the local government level?
Let me start with the chairman, PDP. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say that the last commentator on your channel hit the nail right on the head.
But I'm told that Mr. EZENWA is with us. Hello, sir, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you. So since you are the neutral party here, let me start with you, Eva, because the two party men are giving us the party conversations. But we'd like to hear, as an independent observer of the elections that just took place, what are your concerns concerning the voter apathy part and the fact that it seems people just are not interested anymore in the political process, electoral process in our state?
Well, I think it's better to have a framing, a proper framing. Our attitude to subnational governance generally is very poor. I have continued to make the point that we seem always to be interested in that which is far away, and the one that is close by is really not our concern. Whether it is elections, whether it has to do with the issue of budget, whether it has to do with appointment in states, whether it has to do with autonomy of institutions within the states, we are completely not interested in participating. So we can, whether it's in Lagos or in Akwa Ibom or in Sokoto, we've seen complete non-disinterestedness of the citizens in the affairs of local governments. I can ask very educated people in Lagos whether they know that their local government councils appropriate money, that they have budgets from which they spend. So the challenge of abysmal low turnout of elections that we observed in Lagos is something that should bother all of us from the point of first and foremost to say, if it were to be a governorship election, if it were to be a discussion about national appointments, the kind of interest that it will generate will not be the same. I was in Lagos. I traversed a good space within Lagos, and as I was going, I was tuning into different radio stations to have a glimpse of their programming, and it will surprise you that out of 10 of the radio stations that I was listening to, just about 3 or 4 we are discussing local government election in Lagos. Some we are still talking about the kidnap of children and the rest of it, when something that borders on the welfare, the livelihood of the people who live within that environment is going on, and the people who shape narratives were not even interested. So having laid that background, it's also important to say that LASIEC perhaps did not share good practices from INEC. They would have ordinarily invited the political parties to apprise them of their processes and the things that they need to do and carry them along. INEC will take political parties to the Central Bank of Nigeria, where electoral materials are ferried out from to the different local government areas. That's not supposed to be whether the political parties want it or not. It's just to ensure that the confidence for the elections is very high. So they put those materials very late. The punctuality index for the election was poor. As at 10 a.m. in the morning, less than 25% of the polling units were opened. By 11:45, 69.2 polling units were not up and running. Wow. That's a huge challenge. There is also the stage of training for the officials. They collected smart card readers from INEC. They didn't train the officials well enough to use them. In many of the polling units, they did not even bring them out of the parks. There was no adherence to COVID-19 non-pharmaceutical protocols. There are no temperature tests for anybody. Most of even the officials were not were not wearing those masks. The voters themselves were not, those that eventually came didn't even care about that. I think generally what we need to do is to also say that I was talking to.
All right, let me pause for a second. Let me quickly go on a break. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still reviewing the last weekend's elections in Lagos State. Let me come to Mariam. We still have our guests on the show. What are your thoughts on this, and what would you like to ask a question?
Okay, for me, it's that voter apathy should be something that all parties are concerned about, especially going forward. I feel like it's an indicator of what we may see when the other elections come forward. What are the parties themselves doing right now? I'm talking to both party spokespeople, please. What are you doing, given the results you have received? What are you doing, or what are you planning to do going forward to engage the electorate better?
Let me start with the APC spokesperson, Mr. Shayek. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a topic, the apathy during elections is a topic I've been very much interested in addressing properly. We need to move away from partisanship now. Talking about apathy during elections, we're all equally guilty. The political parties, the media, the umpires, generality of Nigerians and Lagosians as it were. It would be interesting to know, if I could just throw back the questions at the panel in the studio, how many of you actually created the time on Saturday to vote? The best way to influence the electoral process is to participate actively. A situation whereby we all form armchair critics of government policies and programs, and we do nothing to influence the electoral process when the opportunity presents itself. We are more interested in the Big Brother Nigeria, the Olympic Games, rather than activities that will impact on Nigerian well-being as a citizen, as Nigerians. To say the least, is unfortunate. So moving ahead, we all have a duty to mobilize all and sundry to show more than a passing interest in whatever goes on, especially when election time comes. So all the political parties, the media, the LASEC, INEC, as the case may be, have a duty to ensure that our people participate actively. And the opposition parties too, especially, we have reasons to provide what they could consider to be a better opportunity for people.
Let me let the PDP man answer the same question before I come to Nima. So now that you have this data that lots of people didn't show up, what do you hope to do about it?
What I'm trying to say here is that I do appreciate and I do respect the gentleman from the APC. But you see, when you're talking about voter apathy to the extent that we saw on Saturday, that is a state of helplessness, a state whereby the people have lost total hope and interest in an election that is being conducted by an umpire that does not have any honor. I'm really sorry to say, this is not a situation whereby someone is watching BB Niger or anything like that. Don't understand. Look at, a lot of people came out, a few people came out in Amuwo Odofi but the thugs sent them back. The thugs sent them back. So what are we talking about? You understand? So where you have a situation whereby, excuse me, I'm having a lot of distortion. There's another.
We can hear you clearly.
Coming up. It's distracting.
We can hear you very clearly.
Yeah, but I'm hearing the results. I'm hearing the results being announced, you know, side by side.
Oh, okay.
So you see a situation whereby it is. Let me give an example. APC had already started killing themselves even before the election. So what does that send to the populace? What does that send to the electorate? You understand? Everybody, they don't want to come out because they don't know what they're going to meet. Look at our own boys that just went to the collating center to go to follow up on their results. Look at his eyes. Look at what they did to them. I had to tell them to leave the place
for you.
Because it's not what. Please give me 1 minute, please. Look at it. You understand? At the end of the day, do you want me to get our boys killed? Do you want me to get them killed? These people have guns. They have classes. They have everything. I cannot meet on the field and tell them, even in Agege, look at what they did to our boy in Agege. And they had started this since Thursday. And then Lasek. When is it Lasek supposed to advertise?
I'm not too sure this program is for lamentation and giving false information to the public.
All right, let me pause you, Mr.
It is the real fact.
Mr. Doherty, let me pause you for a second because I have very little time left and I have a lot of questions to ask you.
No, can I say something real quick? Can I say something real quick, please?
Yeah.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
To our gentleman from APC,
yeah.
NSAS was just a small thing. NSAS has already happened. This is when the people stand up. The opposition party cannot stand up against this government. Yes, we know. They have money, they have everything. You understand?
At the national level, the NSAS was not
studied. Is there. The people will stand up against you. The people will stand up against you.
All right.
It didn't happen overnight, and your goons in the PDP were responsible for the NSAS.
Let me come in here as a moderator because it's important our viewers understand our conversation. They have to hear us. So let me pause everybody for a second. Let me let Nima ask her question, and then we proceed. Yes, go ahead, Nima.
At least I've experienced a few elections in my lifetime since I turned 18. This is the first time I hear voter apathy without hearing the effort that each party put in to encourage people to come out towards voting. So I'm sure party across board relied on their structure that they've had over the years to work for them without necessarily trying to encourage more voters to come out. We voted in Amodofi and it was peaceful in my area. I didn't go out to vote, but my neighbors came and they came back to give me feedback on Saturday about how it was peaceful. But nobody did anything. It was just a few conversations I had with two of them that, please try and vote, or I'm going to go and vote. And they didn't know I didn't leave the house on Saturday. So what exactly did each of you do across parties now to go to door? 2007, I remember the elections, they were knocking, for local government elections, they were knocking everybody's door in Obadore at the time in Alimosho to get people to come out to vote because we wanted to present somebody to represent our council in the local government at the time. So what exactly did you do as party members, aside relying on those of your party registered members who the numbers that you have already calculated to work for you, to win more voters, to go to people's houses to encourage them to come out, and this does not involve giving them
Let me start with Mr. Chaye, then we'll come to Mr. Doherty.
Okay, let me tell you, Lagosians are clearly in the know that the real election was the premise of APC. Picking the APC tickets was the real election, where it was trying to talk about volatility of our primaries and the rest of it. Well, what you would call volatility would be what I'll call keenly contested party primaries. We knew as a party, our members were aware, our aspirants were aware, was picking our tickets was as good as winning the elections. So it was bound to be keenly contested. And would you lay this blame at its door? The opposition, the ineptitude, the fact that you're not providing any alternative, the fact that your party over the years continue to give the same excuses for your perennial losses, which is already well established in your DNA as a party. You see the turnout for our primaries, and let me also register that this was an unusual election. We're missing that fact. An election having during the pandemic, as a state and as a ruling party, we're quite mindful of the limits of our massive campaign, gathering huge crowd, not being mindful of the COVID-19, social distancing, admonition, and the rest of it. So there's a limit to what you can do in terms of campaign. But how do you address a party that could not even provide agents or polling units, and the only excuse you can give is voters were turned back? That was not reported in any media. It's just a figment of his imagination. And I really pity Mr. DOHERTY, who is also occupying a seat where his predecessors failed massively.
All right, Mr. Oladejo, let me pause you for a second. Let me come to the neutral man, because when we hear politicians talk, it's always very, it's really when you hear both parties speak. Let me come to you, Mr. NWAGWU. From what has been said so far, what's your take on what the parties did or did not do towards this election? That's one. And secondly, the issue of local government autonomy that has been debated across board, and people are still talking about it. In your view, do you think that might be part of the reasons why people don't take these local government elections seriously, because they feel that, hey, they're really powerless, quote unquote. They don't really have much to do within the scope of things within politics. Is that what do you think that could be a reason why we experience apathy today and last weekend?
Well, for your first question, I think the governing party will approaches the election with a lot of arrogance, and the opposing political parties appear to be despondent in the sense that they have thrown their hands in the air. But election is a competitive enterprise, and what needs to happen is that even if there is a dominance of a political party, history is replete with where political parties have upturned and driven away position parties through hard work, through intensive engagement with the citizens. We are not seeing a lot of that. What we are seeing, even among the citizens, is that, especially if you the Yoruba, want to Quinton, want to more outcome, all those kind of conversations are despondent conversations. We need to get the citizens to be conscious of the fact that in the 20 local governments in Lagos and 37 LCDAs, that people will begin from any time from going forward, will continue to preside over your lives. They will bring out policies that, whether you approve of them or not, will be implemented. And one of the ways to make sure that you are not interested is to continue this narrative of they have taken everything and there's nothing we can do. There's so much we can do. We need to get the laws that govern elections, especially from the Lagos State House of Assembly, to bring guidelines and put out those guidelines in a way that citizens can be aware of them. Election just ended on Saturday. The new election starts immediately. They work to get citizens to be interested, should start immediately by all stakeholders. And in the stakeholdership of elections, you have the political parties and their candidates, you have the election management body, you have the voters and the security agents. All of us must begin the work to make sure that our people are interested in, governance and the things. There is no excuse that is enough, that is reasonable to get that. Then on the local government autonomy, the challenge of local government autonomy is based on, first and foremost, the fact that my sister, who is a journalist of repute, was at home on Saturday. It was our neighbors that were telling her that the election was going on.
And I announced it, sir. So please don't come at me, please.
Please, I have a comment. Nima already expressed that she had a major health issue, and someone sent a messages concerning the topic. Person says, politicians are not concerned about voter apathy. They are actually happy with the situations and listed few reasons for low turnout. Says, NSAS saga, still in the minds of many youth. Imposition of wrong and seemingly unqualified candidates. The fear of violence was very high. That there was discouragement due to delay of voting materials arrival and emotional tiredness from hunger. I said I was going to read it out because when we don't analyze the reasons, if we don't concretely analyze the reasons for voter apathy, we cannot solve the problem. And as long as we don't encourage voters to come out to choose who the candidates would be, then we don't have a democracy. And this is very, very important. Sadly, in my own area, I didn't see any campaign material from PDP. I have to say that. I did not see any. I saw Accord, and obviously APC was everywhere. Accord for councillorship, the posters. I saw campaign posters for Accord councillorship party. A lady came out and she actually had her posters everywhere.
So we have to run because, I mean, unfortunately, we can't take any more of this, but it goes back to what the APC spokesman was saying, that, listen, we need a strong opposition in Lagos State. Yes, they are a minority party, I understand that very clearly, but there has to be some kind of strength, because why didn't we see a lot of PDP posters across town? Let people even know that, listen, this party is here.
Right, elections are too expensive.
Yeah, I think Lasek said it also.
Elections at even local government level elections are too expensive.
Yeah. So there are a lot of factors.
Yeah, but I also think that we need to stop blaming the usual and be more creative. Where there's no money, you have to bring in creativity. I feel that door-to-door campaign and appealing to youth in such a way that, you know, you engage them, and then they take ownership of this. But to just say, well, we've given up, they have taken over everything. We need, I mean, for me, in my opinion, I think this even gives you more room as a minority to make a difference.
On that note, we have to thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming. We'd like to thank Mr. Sheyola Dejo, spokesman for APC Lagos State, Mr. Deji Doherty, also the chairman, PDP, and Mr. EZENWA NWAGWU, the executive director of PACA. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
That's all we can take on the show. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.